Being recorded.
Well, being that it's Thanksgiving, we should probably talk about gratitude. That's what everybody else is talking about.
Yeah.
So, that's what everybody's thinking about.
They went out of town.
I'm sorry?
They went out of town.
They went out of town for gratitude, okay? Couldn't find any gratitude here in town at our synagogue, so they went out of town. Okay, well, that's gratitude for you, isn't it? So we hear a lot about people talking about this time of year, thinking about your things that are happening in your life that you should be grateful for. And it kind of makes sense. And of course, we should be grateful for the wondrous thing that's part of our prayers. You know, thank you, God, for the wondrous things that you do for us all the time. What is it? It's the, I'm going to read it actually because it's interesting. We give thanks to you, for you are the Lord, our God, and God of our ancestors, forever and all time. You are the rock. We thank you and declare your praise for our lives, which are entrusted in your hand, for your miracles, which are with us every day, for your wonders and favors of all time. Evening, morning, and midday, you are good, for your compassion never fails. There are some people that you will never convince that of. There are some people that have been gracious and grateful, and they feel like it's done them absolutely no good. Maybe that's going a little too far, saying absolutely no good. But we think, and the Torah tells us this. This is the second paragraph of the Shema. If you do good, you will get good. If you do bad, you will get bad. And this is what Kabbalah says. Those that pursue evil, they will be shown the way. Those who pursue good will be shown the path. That's what it says. And then it goes on to say, well, those that do, you wonder why people who are bad have good things happen to them. Well, they're getting it now, so that way they can be denied their punishment after they leave this lifetime. Okay? Which is fine and dandy, but we're all thinking it's here, it's now, let's deal with it, which is basically what Rabbi Hertz and the Hertz Chumash says. That's why we don't talk about reincarnation or karma, because it's now, you're here, deal with it. So, what do you do when you think you've led a good life? You've tried, you've endeavored, you've done good things, you've gone out of your way, you've been righteous, and bad things happen to you. And then somebody stands up and says, it's time to be grateful. How do you handle that? Okay, well, I think part of the point of religion is to answer questions like that, the difficult questions, and discuss how you handle something like that. Now, there's a couple of ways to look at it. May not be real comforting, but from what I've seen in my life, and I've lived a number of years, this is kind of what I got out of it. You push on anyway. Life is not perfect. If it was, there would be no point to living. God created us to do God's work. Keyword, work. And work means you got to put some effort in to get something back. And sometimes it doesn't work out. Just ask anybody who's tried to repair a toilet. I'm still trying to figure out why we've got space lasers, and we do. Iron Dome is starting to use lasers now instead of missiles. We've got rockets that can go up to space and come back. We're on the verge of curing cancer, and yet the plumbing community still hasn't figured out that when you leave metal in water enough time, it rusts and it sticks. But it takes work. So you're trying to repair a toilet, you got to deal with it. You deal with it, you fix the toilet after much vulgarity later, but you do it, right? It may be hard, but the end result is worth it. Because now you've got a working toilet, and who doesn't want a working toilet? So, part of life is to push yourself and achieve. It's about growth. And if you need any proof that life is about growth, look how you start out in life as a helpless baby, and look where you end up a number of years later. An accomplished person that's learned some stuff, that can do some stuff. Okay? And a lot of times, as the song says, it don't come easy. Sometimes you really got to push yourself to learn something. I heard a story when I was a kid. This guy, very rich guy, wealthy guy, known throughout the community, right? Bigwig, big man on town, whatever. had a son who was kind of, a little bit spoiled, which would happen when you live in a rich town. And the guy wanted his son to learn some value of the dollar. So he farms him out to a farmer and says, give my son some work to do so we can learn value of the dollar. Well, the farmer didn't want to, upset this guy who was a powerful man. So, don't worry, we'll take care of it. Just rest, just take care of yourself. At the end of the summer, the guy gives him the pay, and the kid goes off, goes back to the father. Father said, "How'd you do?" He goes, "Well, I got my pay." Father said, "Let me see the money." Kid gives him the money, takes the money, throws it on the ground, stomps on it, burns it, and gets rid of it. Kid shrugs and walks away. Big deal, right? Tries to do it again. Says to another farmer, says, I want my son to learn the value of working and learn of the dollar. Give him some work to do and pay him at the end of the summer. Guy says, yeah. Guy knows the guy's father, knows he's a rich and powerful man. Puts him over, lets him slough off, whatever. At the end of the summer, gives him some money. Kid goes home, father takes the money, same thing. Rips it up, destroys it, burns it. Kid just shrugs, walks around. Okay. Third summer, the father's thinking, okay, I'm going to try things a little bit differently. Goes to another town where people do not know him. And says, my son's looking for work. Do you need a hand? Farmer says, oh yeah, it's summer. I got the harvest. I can definitely use a hand. And the guy says, great, here's my son to work for you for the summer, and I'll come pick him back up at the end of the summer. First day, guy walks into his room at dawn, get up, we're going to work. Kid's like, I want to sleep. He goes, no, you don't. Pulls him out of bed, shoves him into the field, gives him a pitchfork, and says, bale the hay. Kid's baling the hay. Now we got the harvest to do. Now we got this to do and that to do. At the end of the summer, this kid is just like happy the summer's over. Guy pays him, goes back to his father. Father takes the money, gets ready to burn it. Kid says, what are you doing? I earned that money. You give it back to me. Father smiled and said, you finally learned the value of a dollar. And that's what life is like. That's what life is like. It comes easy, you don't learn anything. People that have to work for what they have and overcome challenges, they appreciate life. Now, yes, there is a point where it seems like enough's enough. I've handled challenges. You think you're on a dark road, you've lost your way, all of a sudden you get a flat tire, you're out of gas, you say, what could be worse? And all of a sudden it starts raining. Okay? Life's like that. It throws you curves. What do? And it's easier said than done. Let's acknowledge that. It's easier to say, just deal with it, take care of the tire, it's raining, find some place to go where you can dry off and you're done, which doesn't sound real good when you're in the middle of trying to change a tire in the mud and it's raining and the jack won't stick because it's moving all over the place, okay? But you get it done. You do what you have to do in life. Life is full of people that have not risen to the occasion. You see them everywhere. They've either given up or they've decided, let somebody else take care of it. Right? And how do you handle, what do you say to the person who's downtrodden, who feels like life is unfair and has dealt them some serious blows? What you can do is understand that it's real hard for them. They face some really tough challenges. And it's easy to think, God doesn't give you any more than you can handle. God has faith in you. Even though things seem very trying and unfair, and people that don't deserve it sometimes end up with the hardest challenges, you do what you have to do. And while you're doing what you have to do, you do look for the good things in life. You look for ways to deal with it. You look for happiness and joy and people that will help you, that will add to your life. That's what you do. That's how you get grateful. That's how you get gratitude. And when it's over, and surprisingly, a lot of things that you didn't think of worked out, you can say, okay, I guess life isn't perfect. I've handled this, and I can handle more. And that's the way we live life. That's how we deal with gratitude. And again, I'll say it again, easier said than done. But if I asked all of you if you've ever had a task or a situation that seemed insurmountable and you overcame it, how'd you feel at the end of it? Think about that.